everything that I do, whether it be leadership, kinesiology, coaching, it's all about relationships.
When the relationship with yourself is an aligned one, a loving one, an unconditional one, then the relationships on the outside will definitely represent that.
Magnificence is the boundless expanse of being, a liberation from limitation. It is the embodiment of authenticity, where you shed the shackles of self-doubt, shame, and imposter syndrome. Here, worthiness flourishes like a vibrant garden where you have the power to determine your actions, destinations, and your closest relationships. In the realm of magnificence, creative individuality takes center stage. Your greatness is acknowledged, celebrated, and nurtured. Gone are the days of mindless conformity or fitting in just to keep the peace. This show and your host, Patricia Lindner, are here to guide you as you align with your authentic design, leading the way to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Magnificence is not some unreachable peak or distant dream. It's inside you, waiting to shine brighter than you ever thought possible. Welcome to your magnificence.
Hello and welcome to another amazing episode of Magnificence, the one and only empowerment podcast that strikes a match and shines the light on the magnificence of my guests. And today I have with me the wonderful, the amazing and magnificent Alfina Lofaro. Hello and welcome to the show, Alfina.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
So great. It's such a pleasure. And I need to say that you are from down under, from Australia. And it is such an honor to really meet people from all over the world and to have them and their magnificence on my show. That is so great.
I know, and I've been to Germany, so I love that place. So I've had some really great experiences in Germany. So I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. What a great connection. I would love to introduce you a bit just to give the audience a little information about who you are and what you do, but there is much more and we can fill in the gaps in our conversation. Just to introduce you briefly, and then we will dive into the depth of who you are and how magnificent you are. Alfina is a transformational coach, and I figured out she is focusing on relationships. That is a really major thing in her work. She's a professional kinesiologist. She was a teacher and still is a teacher in a different way. She's a mentor and she does leadership trainings. She is co-author of Beyond Coincidence. That is one of the latest books that just came out, and she is a motivational speaker. Hello and welcome again. Such a broad variety that you bring to the table.
You're absolutely right. And I think about this often. It's like, how do I sum up everything that I do? But you did it so beautifully. Everything that I do, whether it be leadership, kinesiology, coaching, it's all about relationships. Yeah. And my theory is this, that everything in our life is about relationships. And when we get good at them, we get a good life, is my little saying. When you get good at relationships, you get a good life.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And what comes to my mind, just thinking of your human design chart, you are a projector and you have a splenic authority. And I would love to stress this in this episode. And you just gave me this hint of, yes, it's about relationships. And I would focus on the relationship with yourself. Because I think that is one of the most important relationships that you could ever take care of. Because when the relationship with yourself is an aligned one, a loving one, an unconditional one, then the relationships on the outside will definitely represent that. That's just what came to me right now when I heard you talk about relationships. It's all about relationships.
It's uncanny that you say that, because I just this morning recorded a webinar, a 1 hour workshop, and that's exactly what I talked about. To narrow it down, and what I help people do is first and foremost work on that relationship with yourself. Yes.
See, that is the clairvoyant part of me. Just kidding.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just came up with that and it feels so aligned. And this is the moment where I feel I want to pull up your chart. So this is a brilliant chart of a projector.
Gosh, that word, martyr. Oh, God.
What?
The word martyr that's on there, the final word that's up there. I'm like, I don't relate to that at all.
So we can touch the martyr word maybe in a couple of minutes. What I want to really point out is when I saw your chart the first time, what stood out is there is this huge openness in your chart. All the white spots, the white centers that make you really open and receptive to what comes from the outside. That's like you having those invisible energetic antennas to the outside, which is amazing because you get it all. At the same time, as everything has a flip side, it is something that makes you vulnerable and that makes you prone to being manipulated, of course. But once you are aware of this gift of your openness and you take care of everything that could harm you, could manipulate you, could put pressure on you, I think openness is such a great, great gift. And I wanted to, before I focus on the spleen, which is like a crossroads in your chart, I would love to point out that you have a fully open emotional center, which is the opposite side. It's this triangle down there, which makes you receptive to all the emotions that surround you from other people. You feel what they feel. You sense their emotions. You sense what's going on inside of them, which makes you an amazing mentor and friend. At the same time, you really need to be aware of the fact, pay attention to what you feel, what you sense, what you let in. Don't be a sponge, but be a screen. Protect yourself and take care of yourself first. I would love to pass the word on to you if this resonates with you, and if so, maybe you have something to share about that.
I feel like I wish I'd met you a few years ago, because what is uncanny about what you've just said is you've just described my last decade, and that's in alignment with me being a coach. So several times across my career, I've gone counseling, psychology, education. And every time I've taken the safe path, because in counseling psychology, you're going to be around people's emotions. And I used to say I'm a bleeding heart. I just feel it all. I can't be around that. I'd want to save them all because I'm a martyr. And I kept making those choices. And then 10 years ago, I made the choice to do coaching because it was, let's call it safer. Because yes, we would talk about emotions, but we were going to talk about them for a purpose. And that was to move to people towards they want. And that was in a package that was safer. You talked about, and I'm like, wow, this is exactly right. Yes, I feel other people's stuff. And it's only in the last 2 years that I've learned how to distinguish what's mine and what's not. And to be really own, because they talk about our energy is about 2 meters out from us. That idea, I'm like, wow, my energy space was probably a millimeter away from me. And now I'm fully aware of that entire space around me, but I didn't get it before. And then that's how I would get sucked into so many things. And interesting that you talk about so easily manipulated. unfortunately came out of a work environment that I now understand the manipulation that was going on. I understand that the people were not, that was not their intention, but who I am was able to be manipulated into, actually, interestingly enough, getting so far out of alignment. I got so bent out of shape, literally, physically, emotionally bent out of shape. I didn't recognize myself anymore. So you just, like, you literally have gone, here's a crystal ball. That's your life, Alfina. Nailed it. Yeah.
And it is so amazing that we touched this point, because that shows people who listen to our conversation that it's all about awareness. Human design or the gene keys or intuitive guidance is not about woo-woo stuff. It is really the awareness to protect your energy, to protect your field, to raise your vibration, to really get to the other side of it, to leverage the gift that lays inside of this openness. And then on top of that, you are a projector. You are meant to really tune into other people's fields. You download their energies and you just suck them in. And it is so important, so important. I can't stress this enough for projectors to really withdraw, to cleanse their field, to really take
every day
themselves, to take care of themselves, and to disconnect from this other person's or the other people's energies.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. And I only recently found what works for me in this is another healer's work that to learn about my energy and learn about all of this and how to clean that up and how to take care of myself. It's only been in the last year or two that I've really figured that out. And what's even more fascinating by what you say is, like, there's been times where I will pick that up, and I know the word projected and you project it out, but it's like it projects out tenfold. It's like bigger than what I picked up. And sometimes it's like, that's not even what I think or feel. Like, what is happening? Who have I been around? Where have I been? Let's go back to who had that emotion. And like, it's okay if I share a story with you about this specific thing with the client? There's this one particular day I woke up at 4:00 in the morning with this overwhelming feeling. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. There's nothing, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm like, snap out of it, Alfina. You're not depressed. There's nothing wrong in your life. This may not be you, but it was so overwhelming. And normally what happens is I backtrack and I go, who was I with that had this energy? And then I can go, okay, I picked that up. This is how I picked it up. And okay, now it's time to put it back down. But what actually happened in this scenario is later that day, I had a client and they started talking. I said, hang on a second. Is there any chance you're awake at 4:00 this morning? You're thinking it's not worth it anymore. Why am I even here? Nobody cares about me. She started to cry. She goes, how can you possibly know word for word? I'm like, I don't know. I just know that it wasn't my stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until then that I was able to fully kick it, fully understand what was going on. So I had these incredible experiences around that. And you're absolutely right. I have to be very nurturing and very passionate and very kind with myself, because the minute I don't do that, it's a mess.
Yeah, and especially as you touched upon the mother word in your profile, you are someone who needs to go in and try out things, test things, really live through things. If someone told you, Alfina, this is like this and that, don't do it, you would say, but I need to experience it. And that's where you are fully in. And even if it causes suffering, it's meant to be transformed maybe into something that helps other people, because you want to help other people just from something that you experience, you know it. You totally can say, I've been there. I know this. Yeah. Another thing to really take care about your energies and to really be in this unconditional self-love state and protection state of all your energies. I would love to share one very interesting thing, because that happens not so often, that someone comes in with Splenic Authority. And in your case, it is really, I thought about Los Angeles highway with 12 lanes, like everything just accumulates here. So this is, when you look at the chart, not knowing anything about human design, you can see this is the meeting point. This is where all the things happen. That is what you can really bring forth from the inside, because that is what you own, what you have as an innate gift, as innate energies. And the splenic center is also called the animal instinct center. It's an intuitive center, and that makes you make decisions in an instant. Very spontaneously, you have this little hunch, this hit, this intuitive insight, and then you can immediately make a decision if you listen to this intuitive hit. Oftentimes it is really very quiet. And when you don't listen to it, it won't repeat itself. That makes it a bit hard. So the most important thing for the Splenic Authority is really trusting this intuitive hit that oftentimes whispers. And it's just like those butterfly wings inside of one's field or heart or belly. And I really thought I would love to dive into all of the gates. I never did that before, because that is so interesting, as you have 5 gates turned on around the splenic center. And I thought it's worthwhile talking about the meaning of all those gates for your life, for your professional and personal life. Yeah. So
I'll share with you, Patricia, that I have in you. What you shared with me, somebody told me about 2 years ago about the spleen and it being quiet, and so I can honestly say, for anyone who's listening to this, that is 100% correct. And with the noise of everybody else's emotion and everything else that I pick up, I could not hear it so well. And then I have to clear up my energy so that I can hear and I can listen. And it is so quiet. And if I miss it, it's done. And then I'm not sure. It's like, it's disorientating. But when I'm clear, when I'm, I've done my work to clean up my energy, it is so powerful. And it's actually one of the gifts that I bring to my workplace, because don't lie to me, because whatever this gift is, I smell it or hear it or see it or feel it.
You have this clairvoyant capacity as well, because I want to talk about how you can smell truth and lies as well. That is part of the gates. So we are going to talk about that.
I've never said that before. That's funny.
Isn't that great? I think that is...
I usually say I can see it or hear it, but I've never said I can smell it, but it's
the truth. I thought it is, and I never dove into the gates, but it stood out. It really stood out, and it wants to really stress and shine the light on this magnificent capacity to be this intuitive person that smells or sees or hears, like those animal instincts, and you have them all. And that is great when someone has you as a guide. You have the openness of sensing what is going on with them, plus you have this gift of the Splenic Authority and all that comes with it. And we're going to talk about that. So I would love to really open it up in a different way, and I hope that works. Yes. I have this magnifying glass option, which is wonderful because now you can see the splenic center enlarged, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have gates 48, 57, 44, 28, and 18. And again, I was talking about flip sides of a coin. The great thing is they all represent intuitive gifts, intuitive capacities, animal instinct capacities. At the same time, when you think of animals, they have the fight, flight, freeze mechanism as their innate thing just to survive. So all those gates come with a fear. So again, knowing about the fear is amazing, and there is no right or wrong, good or bad. That is what I always want to stress. It's all about awareness. It's all about, I know my gates come with a fear. Excuse me. And when I face the fear, when I embrace this shadow part, when I embrace the fear part, then I can grow into the gift side, and I can really leverage the gift. And I think it's all about not getting rid of this, and that. It's all about loving parts that are in the shadow and integrating and embracing them so that you can grow into all of who you are. I hope that makes sense.
Complete sense. Yes.
Excuse me, I just need to say I had this flu, and from time to time I need to fade out because it still shows its little shadows of the aftermath of the flu. So gate 48, which you can see here, is the gate of the depths. It's like a well, and it comes, and this is the gift side, it comes with this natural, innate wisdom that you might possibly be unaware, or maybe you might not accept that you have this innate wisdom because of conditioning and because of experiences. It is the gate of new solutions that you should and could bring to the table and into the world. The thing is, I want to turn around the coin. On the other side of the coin, there is this fear of inadequacy. And I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I need to just do another course. I need to study this and this and that. Turn it around. There is this innate, natural wisdom that is totally active inside of you. And as it is a red gate, it means that it possibly is not in your full awareness. So it would be amazing to totally work into that and to grow into more of your magnificence by leveraging this innate natural wisdom that you have. And I would love to always pass it on to you and talk about each of those gates and maybe get your reaction, maybe your doubts, maybe your questions around that.
So this is this is showing up in my life at the moment. Because I'm now 46 and I'm in a place where people are looking to me. I'm like looking around going, hang on, don't you want the authorities in the room? I mean, I know we're talking to you. And so it's becoming time, and hence like I wrote a chapter in a book and starting to put my own brand out there and actually it's like I'm being called to do this stuff. at the same time, I'm having to constantly talk myself through it. Yeah. It's like, you're going to write stuff. That's been the goal. Now people are going to see it. Yeah. That's okay. But what if I have nothing to say? You have something to say. Just write it. But what if they don't like it? So it's this constant conversation. It's absolutely nailed it. And I'm just starting to understand that the stories from my childhood, that inadequacy is, I actually have to leave it behind, or I'm going to get left behind in my own goals and, needs. It's right on the money. It's right. It's an exact example.
And that is so great. And again, I want this to be empowering and encouraging for everyone who watches this and who listens to our conversation, because you beautifully share that you are on this path to really let this show up in your life, all of your magnificence, and you become aware of what is holding you back. And I want to encourage people that there are wonderful options. And I just thought about working with a client that just said a very similar thing before she was able to show up and to really share her gifts. She was like, but there is this fear part of, what if I am discovered? What if people just see the inadequacy inside of, there is maybe some failure parts or mistakes that I make. And that was holding her back. And you can definitely figure out the root cause of why this is active, and can soften that and can really embrace that part. And I don't know if you know about logosynthesis, or if we talked about logosynthesis before. That is what is my major, I don't want to call it tool, because it's like a model for growth that allows people to overcome those barriers or those blockages that keep them in this silent place of holding back. Yeah,
that's right. So with kinesiology, we we say we neutralize the charge around it, so that you can walk through the world being that or not being that, but it's not that it magnifies and you keep attracting that same way of being. So, and the thing that I wanted to share with you too, that's really interesting about what you were saying about the intuition and the splenic center and this particular stuff, the depth of wisdom and the intuitive stuff. I think the way that translates into what I do is it means that I ask the exact right question at the exact right time, or I will go down a path and I will even say to my clients, I don't know why I need to ask this question, but I'm asking you this question. And I know why I need to ask that question, because I heard ask this question or saw something and went, right, well, let's go down this path. And often that's what creates the awareness and the transformation. Yeah. So you're right, such a gift. Then the inadequacy stuff on the flip side, if I didn't take care of it, you and I wouldn't be talking today.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. It's as if you had heightened awareness or heightened senses when it comes to spotting something and to asking something. That is so, so true when I look at your chart. And also when I am in a conversation with you, there is this heightened sense of knowing something or sensing something or hearing or seeing something. I would love to know, because you mentioned kinesiology and maybe not everyone is aware of what this is all about. How, just not like talking into the depth of the method or the approach, but how would you work with someone who deals with, let's say, inadequacy, from this kinesiological standpoint? I'm really interested in that.
So a muscle, it's hard to demonstrate in this scenario, but what muscle testing allows us to do is tap into the body's wisdom, and the body will reveal to us what is the priority. And what we do using, it comes from chiropractics as well as traditional Chinese medicine. There's a whole heap of, it's Eat Smith West, it's beautiful. But essentially what we do is balance what we call the triangle of health. Structural, so that's your bones, organs, and all of in your skin, muscles, all of those things, biochemical, so all the functions, the systems in your body, and then the emotional. So the idea is that if I feel inadequate, that's probably an emotional stressor. So that my triangle is unequal now. So what we do is keep asking the body, what do you need to get back into homeostasis so you can heal yourself? So what does the body need in order to not feel inadequate, or where does this come from? Like, what is that? And that we keep asking the body, what do you need? What do you need? And it could be a myriad of things. Like it could be, we need to talk about something that happened when you were 4 years old. It could be you're not compassionate for yourself, so we need to balance something. Or there's an idea that you latched onto in the womb, and we can identify that. There might be an acupressure point that we need to stimulate. We need to put energy back into different meridians in the body. Could be crystal, could be shell, could be so many things involved. And the body will always tell us what this individual needs to achieve that goal. We start off with a goal, and someone who is feeling inadequate, rather than say I'm adequate or the things that I do bring me joy, everything, my ideas are worth listening to. It could be whatever goal it is. And we balance the body to that goal so that that individual, every cell in their body vibrates at whatever the frequency of the goal is. And that way they will attract and magnetize what it is they want to see in their life.
I love that. So I now I know why I asked the question, because that is fascinating. That it is such a holistic approach. You include the spiritual, the physical with acupressure. You include the emotional or therapeutic aspect. So that is fascinating. Wow. So I think it is worth testing it or trying it out when someone feels like I have a blockage or something is out of homeostasis, like out of balance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Out of balance. It's putting the body back into the position that it innately knows how to heal itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it might be, where is all of that stored emotion? What do we need to do to release it? Yeah.
Great.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah.
Continue. There is another gate. So gate 57 is called the gate of intuitive clarity. That is that your intuition ensures survival. So you see, this is really an ancient center. It's this animal instinct that really ensures survival. And the most important sense here is the ears. So you hear when something is dangerous. And so not talking about animals, but about our 3D reality, normal everyday life. You hear when a sound is out of whack. You hear when someone tells lies or when someone is dishonest. You totally hear that. Not talking about the nose yet, but this is this heightened sense, acoustic sense. Yeah. Also talking about, let's turn around the coin again. This gate comes with a fear of the future. So there is this fear of the future in gate 57. And once we are able, or you are able, or everyone who has this gate turned on is able to see this, to realize this, oh yes, there is this fear of the future, and we can withdraw all the energy that we project into the future and use it for the here and now, you have all that you need to really walk into the right direction with full capacity and the full power. Yeah.
That is incredibly interesting.
Is it?
Very, very interesting. Because I have used a lot of energy to get to where I am today. And often I look into the future and I go, no.
Yeah.
What? And I know I get there now. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Reassuring too.
And I think it is so important just to really share this with the world. Those future fantasies, those future fears, they eat up so much of our energy that we could use for the here and now. And so it is with the next gate we are talking about. It's the fear of the past, and I'm going to pull that up just to not talk without sharing that. That's gate 44. That comes with the fear of the past. Like, you need to look back and have those past memories, those maybe experiences that traumatize you, that now keep you from living your very best life. And when we have this capacity to withdraw from those future fantasies or those past shadows that are haunting us, then we have all the energy we need in the right place for moving forward, for really using it for momentum, and to really manifest the life that we want. The great thing about gate 44 is it is the gate of alertness. That's the gift. It is this instinctive knowledge of the capabilities of others, and that's the nose. That's you smell who is doing what, who is capable of doing what, who is lying, who is telling the truth, who is a good fit. So you really smell and have a nose for something.
Yes.
Yes. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So if you allow me to, then I just talk about the next one, which is gate 28. But just press the pause button if I'm going too fast.
Just one question for you. So you said because it's red, the first one, you said because it's red, I might not be in full awareness. Is that the same with gate 44?
Yes, that is, maybe you are not fully aware. Maybe you are aware because you worked a lot. Maybe you faced some of those fears or some of those hidden agendas. Then you are aware, but the red, and now you can't see the full picture, but I'm going to pull it up again. Once we talk about the full chart again, there is the design aspect and there is the personality aspect. The personality aspect, how you present yourself, that's the black. You're aware. That is when human design is calculated exactly on the date of your birth, and the red part is calculated round about 80 days before you're born, or 88 days before you're born. That's the design part, that's the subconscious part. And it is said that one should really get aware of all the subconscious aspects. And here it is both aware and unaware. So sometimes it comes with both. To really fully live this aligned life. So both aspects are important. Yeah. Did this answer your question?
Very much. Yes.
Nice. 28 is, it sounds like a fun gate. It's the gate of the game player. That is some...
No, I've been found out.
That is someone who is taking risks. Taking risks because he or she knows what is worth fighting for. Sometimes living on the edge, But when you are aligned with your design, and you are aligned with all the things that show up in your chart, there is no big risk, because you have this intuitive knowing again. The flip side is the fear of death. Once someone is not aligned, or someone didn't work through all of those aspects, there is this fear of death that could show up within this gate. Yeah. And last but not least, a very dear to my heart gate. I have it as well. And many, many people have it. It's this gate 18 that is something that people should remember. It's the gate of correction. It is a gate, when someone has it, they really see faults. They are predestined to correct. Sometimes they are a bit judgmental, but their innate goal or their deep goal is to make improvements. This gate is very much connected to the ancestral history. That's why I love this gate so much, because it is full of conditioning of our past. And in your case, or in my case, especially the conditioning through the father figure. And it's like, you can't cry over spilled milk, but there is this need and want to correct things when looking back at our lives, so to really improve things for our lives. So when someone has this gate, it's the gate of correction, and it is this gate where whenever I work with someone, we look deep into the conditioning, the ancestral parts, the ancestral history, and the fear part of it. And this is not surprising. The fear part is that it comes with the fear of authority. And I would totally say, this is not true for me. There is no fear of authority. But deep inside, there is this conditioning, just when thinking of my father as a father figure, as a very dominant father figure, there is this fear of authority.
I was raised to believe that you respect your elders, regardless of whether they're saying something that makes sense or is intelligent or not. And it's only now, as I was saying before, now in my 40s, where I've gone, hang on, I don't care if you're older than me. If you're saying something that's not right, I've got to start living my truth. And just because you're older than me doesn't give you more authority. And you talked about manipulation earlier. When I've given away my authority over my own choices, or when I've prioritized other people's opinions about me over my own, I've run into trouble every time.
See, yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate. Great. So I think we really made a deep dive into your spleen center, splenic center, the center of the animal instinct. And I thought it would be really interesting, and that's what I just said a minute ago. Now this is the full picture again. I want to combine two pieces of information that might really be totally helpful or totally empowering, and might really let you even tap more into your magnificence. You see, you remember this was the gate of alertness, which is this instinctive knowing, you having the nose for something. You have this full channel, and I just want to touch upon that briefly. It is, for me, it is the channel of the entrepreneur. You are the born entrepreneur because you can sell almost anything to anyone, because you have this nose and you have this willpower. You have the capacity to talk to almost everyone. And so just to have this in the background, and that is a piece of information that I wanted to pass on to you, the born entrepreneur. And I wanted to combine it with some aspects out of all those numbers. And I said to you, there is this red column and there is the black column up there. And I just wanted to focus on the 41. So whenever I dive into that, that goes beyond human design. It goes into the gene keys, and that's the path of the genius and the conscious sun. So this circle with the spot or dot inside, that's the sun, and the black one is the conscious sun. When I talk about gene keys, they are part of human design, very deep parts, like really into the energetic, genetic information. Your gene key 41 contains, again, shadow aspects, gift aspects, and then siddhi aspects, that is the divine gift. And 41, that is, why are you here? What are you here for? What's your life's work? And I thought that is interesting. That's why I wanted to combine it with the entrepreneurial line. What are you here for, Alfina? You are here to turn fantasy into anticipation and emanation. So the shadow part, and again, it is so important. Whenever I talk about seemingly negative expressions like shadow, it is something that is more or less a starting point. Some people are far beyond the starting point, but just having the awareness of, oh yes, there is the fantasy aspect, and fantasy aspect could mean that I'm all in my head, that I'm daydreaming all day long, that I live in my own bubble, that I have amazing fantasies, but they don't really come to fruition. They don't come into reality. So genius manifests while non-genius dreams. It is so important to dream. It is important to dream. But if it remains only in this dream space, things won't be manifested, things won't come into existence. And this conscious sun gate comes with the information of it's all about creating a new chapter in your life. It's the impulses that show up in your life, and they want you to anticipate what is truly needed, because you have the intuitive capacity to anticipate what is needed in the world. What does the world need? What do you need to present to the world to make an impact? Because you hold the key. You hold the key to all of your dreams. The only thing is you just need to turn that key. And with gate 41, and I'm going to show you a beautiful representation of gate 41 in a few seconds. Gate 41 invites you to always invite others into your space, because you can't turn the key all by yourself. You need always people around to participate. It's about making small steps of progress. It's about asking for help. And it's about taking rest and relax time. You are a projector. And it's about finding homeostasis, about finding balance, not overdoing and not underdoing, not staying in the head only, in the fantasy land, but realizing things step by step and becoming active. And this is the visual representation of this gate, and I love her expression. This
It's a little bit like me.
Yeah. Now that you say it, so I did not want to say anything that you might be frustrated, but I thought the warmth in her eyes, the wisdom in her eyes, the brown or dark hair, there is a similarity.
There are a lot. My hair's very curly, and if that can create that look very easily.
And I think so. And there is a whole story around her, and I love working with those cards because they are so tangible. They let people take action steps into the gift part. And I think for you, that is really so using anticipation as a gift and really sensing what is the next step, what is needed. That is what you're here for. And your line is 1. So you are this solopreneur who invites in people to turn the key around.
That's exactly what I've uncovered in the last, I've uncovered is like the whole path that I'm on right now is exactly that.
Wow.
Yeah. And very deliberately so. Yes. It's so good to hear that.
Isn't that validating, and isn't that opening up more and more spaces of magnificence? That is why I love this work, because it is giving people so much power to step into the fullness of who they are.
That's right. And you talk about that anticipation. What I see so clearly is that where do we learn how to deliberately relate? Where do we learn how to have relationship, A, with others, but B, with ourselves? It seems to be accidental or situational rather than deliberate. And I look at a lot of conflict around the world, and I look at a lot of frustration in families and relationships and with young people. Nobody knows how to relate well.
Yeah.
And if they do, they've happened upon it accidentally rather than deliberately. So
I love that you do that kind of work, and that is building me a bridge into the next question. One of the last questions before we come to a close. So you do the kinesiology work, you do so many sorts of works, and they are very empowering. Everything that you do is very empowering, and it is focusing on this relationship aspect. So when you work with people, how do you do that? Do you offer one-on-ones? Do you do retreats? Do you do group programs? What can people expect when they would love to get to know you?
Brilliant question. So up until now, just to relate back to what you were saying, up until now, I've worked for other people and contracted to other organizations and created intellectual property and all kinds of things. This is the first time I'm offering pure Alfina. And so people can work with me one-on-one, online or in person if they're in Brisbane, Australia, but online anywhere in the world. And so there's a couple of things that they can do. So they can work with me one-on-one with the coaching or kinesiology, preferably the kinesiology because it's so much deeper than coaching alone. And I do presentations and workshops, and I'm happy to do speaking gigs as well. Come and work with people in their organizations or create presentations. And coming in the next, I'm gonna put it out there. So it's 6 months away, because I've already understood what that is. I start off with an online workshop that will be the beginnings of a retreat as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Specifically, the vision is, so if I can paint the picture, the vision is to give people on the online course a whole heap of tools and skills for relationships that they can learn about in the comfort of their own home, and then a retreat that provides them with the opportunity to put them in action, learn some more, do some deep dives into how they're showing up in their relationships, some of those unconscious patterns and programs and sabotages, and then go back into the real world and have my support to deliberately create the life that they want and the relationships that they want. Yeah.
Wonderful. That sounds amazing. And it will be an Australia retreat?
Why just leave it in Australia? It would most likely be in Australia, because you said it so clearly. I have very clear people that I would love to work with. Even people like yourself, like human design is such a beautiful way to understand how we're showing up in the world, the beautiful way to build people's awareness. So having people like yourself, the biggest key to all of that, I educate people around relationships. The more you know yourself and how you're showing up and the way you speak and what's important to you helps you to communicate that out into the world better and allow people to understand how better to relate with you. And so it would be in Australia, but I'm open to the world.
That's great. So I just thought, I've never been to Australia. Maybe I can be part of that. And maybe as you listen to the world, you could be part of our retreat, because I'm in the creation of a retreat as well, which will be in November this year, and it will be in the south of Spain. So it's a retreat about personal growth and relating to nature and withdrawing a little bit and having me time and having cultural parts and good food. And a wonderful place. It's a permaculture place in the south of Spain. So you're invited. Maybe we can do an exchange.
I am in. Whatever it is, I'm there. Wow, I'll make that happen. I'll find a way. That's brilliant.
When people would love to get to know more about your work, want to get in touch with you, want to sign up for something, where can they find you?
So they can find me on my website, alfinalofaro.com, or find me on Instagram and Facebook. There's not a lot of Alfina Lofaros out there. I think we're at 3 or 4 of them, but I'm the only one that looks like this. It's quite easy to find. They can just Google me as well. My website will come up.
I encourage everyone to really reach out and get in touch with you and get to know you and then go from there. So my very last question is there anything that you would love to share with people out there that they might need to hear right now? Some little gem, some inspiration, some truth that you want to share with the world right now?
Wow. That's a really good question. So I talked about this in the workshop I was delivering this morning. It's about, where do you seek joy to experience joy? And I've come to understand through my research and other people's work that making sure we are grateful, making sure we've got a good relationship with forgiveness. And so gratitude, forgiveness, and just dropped out of my head. Gratitude, forgiveness. There's a trifecta of joy that I like to talk about and like to live in this state of absolute joy and bliss. Forgiveness, joy, forgiveness, gratitude, and compassion. There it is. Forgiveness, gratitude, and compassion equals joy. Yeah. So that relationship, the fair bit that we talked about tonight, is that relationship with ourselves, and making sure I'm of great energy is like working on my relationship with forgiveness, looking at how I can show up with greater compassion for myself and others in the world, and being absolutely grateful for where I am right now has brought me the greatest vibration of joy. So
I love that.
That would be.
We are here to experience joy, and we can decide to be happy because it's a choice. And we need to dive deeper into what you just shared, but I think it's so valuable Because someone out there might think, yeah, it's all about joy, but I'm suffering from pain and X and Y and Z. But it's all about joy, and it's all about really making this choice. And I am allowed to say that because I experienced a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, and I know that you did too, just physically. And I think everyone can do that. Everyone can do that and can make this shift into a more fulfilled and more joyful, more empowered life and access their magnificence. I totally believe in that. Alfina, it was so great to have this deep conversation with you and to take your chart as an example for someone with a splenic authority, with all the animal instinct aspects, and to dive into the depth of what you do and who you are. It was such a pleasure to have you. I'm grateful that we had this conversation, and I can't wait to reconnect. And I hope that everyone who watched this episode could take something away from it and could really tap more into their magnificence and see that it's all about awareness. Thank you again, Alfina.
Thank you.
This was another episode of Magnificence, the empowerment podcast that strikes a match and shines the light on your magnificence and on the magnificence of my guests. Hope to see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for this empowering episode. To continue this journey of aligning with your true purpose and uncovering your magnificence, schedule an illumination call with Patricia at patricialindner.com. Please share this episode with someone who needs it and subscribe to the show on YouTube and your favorite podcasting platform. Join us again soon for another episode of Magnificence.